get up early in the morning, 6 o'clock. Being a farmer, I've just always got out of bed early in the morning.
93-year-old George Fowler is a creature of habit. When he needs cash, he'll drop into Carnama's only bank, as he has for decades.
Since 1944, 45, my father introduced me to the bank. I think he gave me £100 to open that account.
But times are changing. Like so many others around the country, this bank's days are numbered.
I said, "Hi George, I'm writing to you today to say that we're closing the bank on the 1st of February 2023 at 1 p.m. That'll be it." And then they said, "Oh, we're only too pleased to help you to go online," which I'm not in that at all.
George isn't the only one among Carnama's 400-odd residents unhappy about it.
I just think it's pretty disappointing. Like most things in country life, we struggle to keep our small communities going, and when it comes to this, it's just another nail in the coffin.
I don't believe they're giving us an option for an ATM. They're just shutting the bank and that's it, which is pretty unfortunate.
We need to be able to have that facility in our community. Otherwise, we're going to have to travel to either Geraldton, Mora, which is over an hour and a half away.
It's something that's going to keep affecting Australians as we, as a country, experience an unprecedented shift in how we do our banking. We are seeing an acceleration out of COVID of customers voting with their feet and moving at pace into the virtual banking environment.
What would you say to the residents of Carnama?
Banks and other financial institutions like credit unions and building societies, they all are paying and contributing to Australia Post to operate bank services on their behalf. The basic banking services that most people who aren't online, who are still wanting to go into a branch need, withdrawing cash, cashing a cheque, depositing money, they can all be done in the post office.
Colleen Benier owns and runs the post office. She scoffs at the suggestion it can replace the services of a bank and automatic teller machine.
I think corporates don't give a damn about country living. If you live in the city and you had to drive an hour and a quarter to your ATM, everybody would be in an uproar. Do you know, I'm 9 till 5 days a week. Do you know, where do you go after that? An hour and a quarter. Not everybody drives. Not everybody's got the money for the fuel, time, effort. It sounds all very glossy, but it's not. But I think Westpac need to have a damn good look at themselves.
The closure means Westpac Carnama's 2 staff and its cleaner, Donna Curley, are looking for new jobs.
Overall, it's going to disadvantage a lot of people. The result will be disastrous from my personal opinion. It means that people have to travel down to the other locations, which are over 100 k's away.
Carnama's Westpac will become the latest in a long list of bank closures across the country. Over the past 5 years, the number of branches has dropped 30%. The number of ATMs has more than halved. Why? Because most of us are using these for our banking, and closing up shop in places like this is saving the big banks money. Westpac's annual report highlights accelerated branch closures as a notable item related to a $1 billion decrease in operating expenses.
I think it's important not to see this necessarily as a saving. What it actually is happening is banks are taking the resources out of, the bricks and mortar and putting it into where their customers are, and that's the online environment.
There's a similar trend across the big 4 banks. The number of branches started declining after 2015. The number of ATMs peaked around the same time before rapidly declining in recent years.
The town to the north of us has lost their bank a couple of years ago, and towns to the east of us, both those towns have lost their bank as well. So it's had a big impact on our rural community in just having to travel to engage in a transaction.
On the other side of the country, the tourist town of Junee in regional New South Wales is celebrating a small win in the battle to keep its Commonwealth Bank branch after pointing out that the alternative doesn't have disability access.
The Commonwealth Bank have extended their closing date from last Thursday to the 3rd of March as a result of council pointing out to the bank that their alternative banking, which was offered through the post office, doesn't have disabled access to the front door.
While it's bought some time while a ramp is built, the Shire says the real problem isn't going away.
These are cosmetic changes really to a building, but there is a much wider spread problem with over 44 banks listed for closure across Australia. We feel that with a bit more cooperation from other localities, we might be able to nudge the government into considering a moratorium on further bank closures.
Well, it's not something we're looking at the moment. In many of these communities, as I'm advised, the banks were not being used or not being used sufficiently to allow them to continue to operate on a financially viable basis. My concern is to ensure that whatever relationship and whatever arrangements are being put in place for Australia Post, that they're as good as the arrangements that existed before the bank exited that town. Ensuring that every town that currently has access to a bank continues to have access to banking services.
Yeah, I can remember that latest day.
Back in Carnamah, George Fowler, who runs the town's museum, is reminiscing.
Initially a branch of West Australia Bank, also known as the WA Bank, construction began in August 26. The banks are a cornerstone of the town. You've got to have a bank in the town. Times change, they've got technology that beat us all. Technology left me behind years ago.